Back for Blood has 3 different categories of card, which I feel like most people just don't pay attention to anyway. But for context, when they say they're adding a new type of card called burn cards, that's to add to the 3 categories that already exist. New card type is available through... Doesn't matter. This card type can be played in each safe room to gain temporary effects like instant healing, currency boost, increasing resistances, and more. My interpretation of what they mean here is that these cards will only apply to one level or one map, which to me seems bad. Like, I personally wouldn't use them because I'd rather have cards that have a long-term benefit. But, I mean, maybe if you expect to fail really fast or something, I don't know. It's hard to presume from this. I mean, they would be handy maybe near the end of the deck if you're going to be at the last map where there's only one map left. So maybe it'd be more common to put the burn cards at the end of a deck. They're going to have a holiday seasonal event, which includes holiday decorations added to Fort Hope and the firing range. I don't know what to expect with that. Exciting news in like unlockable seasonal character skins, weapon skins, emblems, and sprays. I only really care about the seasonal character skins. But, yeah, I'm not a big cosmetics person anyway. They added some cards that boost how many quick slot inventory you can have, which I don't really care about. There'll be a Ridden practice area added to Fort Hope. And you can also have an option to play as Ridden in Fort Hope. Fort Hope is the name of the lobby area when you're between games and you're just in that waiting area where I'm like shooting the dummies. Then that's Fort Hope. Option added to play as Ridden Fort Hope to practice fighting and exploring mutation villages. This is for like Swarm PvP, but I feel like it'll also give me a good sense of how the mutations work. Mutations being like the special infected, the enemies you fight that are not just the common Ridden. But also the Ridden practice area. One thing I keep wondering about this is it going to be like... Because so far all we have to practice technically in Fort Hope is just these dummies that just have a bullseye in their head and they don't move. So the Ridden practice area, I presume these are going to be moving targets. I've always wished that there was some place I could just practice my aim against the zombies because they move in a particular way. They don't, they're not stationary. And it seems like the majority of the stuff they implement in the game, they try to minimize video gamifying it. They try to make it more like it makes sense in universe. So for example, those dummies you shoot, that's one separate physical area of Fort Hope that you can imagine exists in real life. Like if you were in an actual zombie apocalypse and you built a kind of separate isolated civilization, you might have this kind of practice area. So if they're adding a Ridden practice area, I'm wondering if like lore-wise that's going to be like they captured these zombies and they have them in a cage or something and you can enter the cage at your own risk. So I'm wondering how they'll implement that. Because they also have like off to the side, they have like a boxing ring linking thing. So if they're willing to add something like that, then they could probably have something like that for Ridden. Anyway, bots that accompany the player in solo campaign are randomized. I thought that was already the case. I feel like this kind of sucks in the sense that on Nightmare, you'd always want a mom bot because her team passive, she gives everybody an extra life or down, is so useful that it's like, if I were always playing with bots, I would probably keep re-rolling a run until I got a mom bot. And so the fact that I thought they were randomized in the first place, but now that I know they are for sure, I feel like for anybody who's doing that, they might just keep re-rolling until they get a mom bot. And I feel like it'd be much preferable if they just made it so you could choose which bots you get instead of randomizing it. But whatever. Stat tracking now, it's in training, don't really care. Fix actually allow players. This is one of the biggest ones. This is a notable bug fixed. I've been calling it nade duping or dupe nading, where you can duplicate your grenades. I use it occasionally. I try not to abuse it too much. Where I can throw like infinite pipe bombs, infinite grenades, any kind of throwable explosive. and that's getting patched out. So I'm looking forward to that, because when I join a lobby and people are like spamming pipe bombs, so we don't even have to fight the zombies, we just wait for the thing to explode. It's pretty boring and sucks the fun out of the game. So looking forward to that, and so it'll be more skill based. Other notable exploit fix: allowed players to select duplicates instead of one card. Okay, now that I reread this is more clear. I was confused about this at first, but they're fixing... Usually when you go to pick your cards, if you click fast enough, then you could get multiple of the same card, which I've been doing pretty regularly. I don't think it was a game-breaking bug. Actually, it was game-breaking in the sense that if I did it on the last card that I had to draw, then sometimes it would soft lock the game, and I'd be like, oh, I just glitched my card draw and I need to leave. Although I wish they just fixed that aspect and they left the other, because it's... I don't think it was game breaking if I ever got two of the same card, or like two or three of the same card. There was no... I mean, maybe I hadn't thought of which cards could break the game if I did that, but otherwise, yeah, I never felt like it broke the game in any way, other than the soft lock I just mentioned. But, yeah, I'm not... I think overall it's a good thing, because now I won't be trying to fucking glitch it every time. Developer note: made following changes to make the controls on PC feel more snappy. Increased player acceleration to 2100 from 1900, and break friction from 7 to 6.5. So initially on PC, when you moved, it would be instant. You go from 0 to full speed in any direction you wanted. Although yeah. But then they made a change where, to make it more equal with console players, there would be movement acceleration. So if you started to move in a direction, you wouldn't go from 0 to full speed instantly. You would slowly gain speed until you hit your top speed. Well, not slowly, but... Well, compared to instant, slowly. A lot of PC players didn't like this. I didn't like it. It made movement feel more unresponsive. And I think it's stupid to have something like that just to make it equal with console players. Because one of the criticisms that I heard was like, so their solution to the inequality between console players and mouse and keyboard players was to nerf PC players instead of figuring out a way to buff console players. Or I think also the idea was that this disparity was caused by, if you're on a controller and your thumb pushes your movement stick... When your thumb, this side, pushes this movement stick to walk forward, the travel time to go from neutral to up, the amount of time it takes you to press that would mean the movement in game, you would have acceleration. You wouldn't go instantly from 0 to full speed because your thumb has that travel time. I think. Anyway, they made the controls feel more snappy. They increased the acceleration and break friction so you won't feel slidey as much. Moving on. Player starts with max M1 beating a run. I'm happy for this because at the start of every one... Let me compare it to a bug that used to exist. There used to be a bug that your secondary weapon, like your pistol, every time you spawned in a map, it would be... You would have to reload it. There would be no guns in the clip. You would have to switch to it and reload it. So every time you spawn a new map, like I said, remember to reload your secondary. So they patched that, thankfully, because that was tedious. And now, or like the way it is right now, and the way it has always been, is you do not have max ammo for any of your ammo categories. So if I like to use rifles, so I would use rifle ammo. And when I get into a map, I would drop all the kinds of ammo I don't use so that other people could make sure to be topped off on the kind of ammo that they need. And I would hope or ask for, like, does anybody else got rifle ammo? Just to make sure I'm topped off on rifle ammo before I leave the safe room. Now, I don't have to ask for that. I don't have to drop my ammo because everybody's going to be topped off right from the start. It's like a nice little change that makes the game less tedious. Similar to how the secondary weapons weren't reloaded at the beginning, but now they're loaded. Although, I'm going to say in a similar vein, it'd be nice if they made it so you started with like minimum 350 copper and nightmare difficulty, because right now the way it works is you start with 250 and a toolkit costs 350 copper. 262 of it's on a discount. So nobody has enough at the beginning to buy a toolkit. So you always got to go, can somebody drop me 100 copper so I can buy our team a toolkit? So I feel like it'd be, in a similar vein, it'd be nice if they had that little change. Or like if a toolkit spawned in the safe room or some shit, so you wouldn't always have to ask for that. Because you're always going to buy a toolkit in the safe room anyway. Unless you got a Carly who starts with one. Cleaner hitboxes are more accurate, reducing accidental friendly fire. I never felt that the hitboxes weren't accurate. Nevertheless, that's a nice change. Aim assist when targeting. Improved aim assist. Friendly fire damage no longer increases with each weapon tier. This was a change I never heard anybody ask for, but this is nice. So you'll hurt your teammates less. Healing efficiency now improves temporary healing. So cards that like make your healing do more will also affect pain pills, which give you temporary health instead of like normal healing. So it makes healing efficiency more useful. This would be bigger. It would make more of an impact if it also applies to things like, for melee players, they often run a card that gives you temporary health when you kill stuff with your melee attack, and will also give temporary health to your teammates. So it might be like if the melee player now runs that card plus a healing efficiency card, it might actually give everybody more temp health. If that were the case, that would be pretty big deal for like melee players and stuff like that. Bots now keep their existing inventory and upgrade their weapons with each map. I didn't know this was an issue, but that's good. Made improvements to saving individual matchmaking settings in quick play campaign and training runs. I believe this refers to, if you've ever seen me re-queue after I leave a game or fail a run or something, and I re-queue for quick play, you'll see I have to click a bunch of buttons for the settings I want, which is specifically because every time I go to re-queue, the settings have reset to presuming I want to search for only recruit difficulty games and only Act 1. So then I made a script to automatically like unselect recruit, click nightmare, unselect Act 1, and then select Act 2, 3, and 4, because that's the kinds of games I want to find. So now I'm pretty sure what this change is that it'll remember your settings between each run. So now I don't have to click all those extra things. All I have to do is click quick play now, and it remembered my settings from previous stuff. So that's nice. Added clarification to the leave game prompt while in a party. That's nice, because I was never sure if I was in a party, like if I left the game, would I leave my party? Smooth out player collision near the ogre spawn points. I don't know about that. Never experienced a problem with that. Zwat achievements now also grant the Zwat team title. This didn't matter to the majority of people, because the only people getting these Zwat achievements were people who could clear Nightmare, which is like 0.1% of players or less. But there was a problem where if you, like, I think you unlocked the Zwat team title by like clearing Nightmare with all the characters or some shit like that, but it was bugged, so you wouldn't actually get this title. So they've basically fixed that bug. So that's good. Added one additional card draw to Acts 2 and 3. This is a buff across all difficulties to help people with Acts 2 and 3, which I guess people consider harder than Act 1 and 2. So that's nice, except for people who wanted a harder difficulty, but overall, across this patch, they're making the game easier, which, for the most part, me and the community agrees that it's best for the health of the game, because the game was just too hard. Not just in Nightmare, which was obviously like 0.1% of players only clearing it, is clearly too hard. But even like recruit and norm and veteran difficulty were just too hard, such that it was turning away casual players. So hopefully a lot more casual players will come back to the game with this new patch. Improve the navigation of large special written between the first and second objectives on search and rescue, a clean sweep. I'm not sure about this. Like, I've never experienced this problem. unless it's referring to a thing where there was a bug on a clean sweep where it's right here.
Coming up the rear.
This is a mutation right here, tall boy. He's about to fuck up our shit.
Whoa.
What the fuck? What the fuck?
It's quite the vault, man.
Somebody banished them? Interesting.
To the Shadow Realm.
That's where I'm at.
So there was a bug on this map. It's a clean sweep. That's the name of this mission in this map. Well, not this map, but this mission where ever since this, I had seen this more than once, that there'd be a mutation that comes at us, but then it just teleports back over to this spot on the other side of the fence. Where I think this came as a result of, there was a patch they did where I was like how do I put this? Mutations that are on the map already, but that will just roam around, are called roaming mutations. There was a problem where they would roam too far from their starting zone. Like, the developers decided they didn't want these mutations wandering so far from the starting zone that they spawned in. So they reduced it. They said, like, oh, reduced roaming range from 35 meters to 29 meters and some shit, if I recall correctly. And I think as a result of that, they fucked up the fix, causing mutations to start to, like, wander too far from the starting zone. Better teleport it back to where it started.
Whoa. The fuck?
What? That's my guess. So I'm not totally sure, but maybe this patch note that says improve the navigation of special riddens between the first and second objectives, search and rescue, clean sweep, might be fixing that teleportation bug. First and second objectives. The first objective in this map is like a garage, and the second one is the roll-up door later. I don't know. Yeah, it doesn't matter. You guys won't understand this, but so I'm not gonna. Moving on. Jukebox can no longer be damaged after the last bus is loaded on search and rescue barroom blitz. No, I don't think I've never heard anybody complain about this, but it's a nice quality of life change because at the end, that means, from what I understand, the jukebox will keep aggroing common towards it and keeping the heat off of everybody, all the cleaners, while you go escape and get into the car. So that's nice. It doesn't make sense in game because the jukebox should still be able to be damaged, but it gives you a chance to run away. So that's nice. The remaining research boxes will be highlighted after a certain amount of time has passed on Dr. Rogers' Neighborhood T5. T5 is considered one of, if not the hardest missions in the game, where you have to run into a mansion while there's an infinite horde and find research boxes that randomly spawn in certain spots. So I thought it was already the case, but it's a nice quality of life improvement that after a certain amount of time, it'll just highlight and give you silhouette. You can see through the walls, so you don't have to like struggle to find them. You'll know exactly where they are. Improved navigation for special ridden inside of the safe room on Dr. Rogers' Neighborhood Garden Party. I don't know what this problem was. Maybe like the special ridden got into the safe room. I don't even know if it's talking about the beginning safe room or the ending safe room, but maybe they got, as soon as they got into the room, they would like bug out and not know where to go and just stand there, maybe. I'm only going to address the ones I recognize for now. Confirmation is now given immediately after reporting a player. I think the way it worked before or now is, so far, is when you report a player, it doesn't say anything after you report them. So now this just confirms it, like, okay, we received your report or something like that. Okay, so this is one of the other huge things to the meta, where one of my major complaints with the game is the speed run meta, where it was really effective to complete a level to just run past everything and race to the safe room. Especially on like nightmare difficulty, where it's just so difficult that just running past everything is like one of the only ways to get to the safe room. If you actually try to kill everything, you just waste so many resources and you just run out of resources. So to summarize this, I'll just read this. We noticed that the use of speedrunning decks was creating tension between players, as a single player would utilize the speedrunning deck to separate from the rest of their team to rush ahead to finish the level. We made the following changes to bring speedrunning more in line with the viability of other strategies and builds. In summary, they did a huge flat nerf to like all movement cards. Evasive, speed reduced from 15 from 20%. Fleet of foot, move speed bonus reduced to 8% from 10. I'm not going to talk about all the flat speed nerfs they did, but I will talk about the other subtle changes that they made. For Fleet of Foot, the damage resistance. So Fleet of Foot would give you, right now, it gives you 10% movement speed for minus 5% damage resistance. So you would go faster, but you take more damage from everything. The change they're making is you'll take more damage from stuff. So what this change would mean is if you take Fleet of Foot and you're speed running, like, you're more likely to get downed. So like the trade-off of being fast is that you're like squishy, which is one way to fix speedrunning, I suppose, to make speedrunners more squishy. So that's what they did with Fleet of Foot. Mad Dash, stamina efficiency reduced. Like, the way Mad Dash works is your sprint speed would be increased by plus 20% or plus 30%. So every time you sprint, you're faster when you sprint. But the trade-off was that you would burn through your stamina faster. So the only change they made to this is now you'll burn through your stamina even faster. So Mad Dash was considered a staple by many, including me. So now I am second guessing whether or not I should keep it in my deck if it's going to make stamina efficiency reduce, because that also would affect bashing, because bashing uses stamina, and melee is affected by that. But melee players, I don't think, are using Mad Dash. What else? Rhythmic breathing. I guess rhythmic breathing. So let's see what this card does. No, I'm just going to switch category to Back for Blood for now. It's so bad to try and find. Okay, here we go. Rhythmic breathing. You can see in the top on the right side, plus 60% stamina, minus 20% slow resistance. And that minus 20% slow resistance is actually the main reason I never... Every time I saw that, I'm just like, oh, I don't want to use this card. Because anytime you get hit by a zombie, you're slowed. So this would just make you slower, I guess, if you ever got hit. Which was like, I would say, I think is one of the main reasons you'd ever take damage. Because you're always trying to run away. Or like, if you're good, you're going to try to run away if you're being like within attack range. Because kiting is like one of the best things you can do in this game, which is why even the speed run meta exists. So being extra slowed when you're hit is like really bad. It's like it's counter. It undermines being able to kite and speed run. So I never used it, and I never really knew anyone else who used it. So they changed the card, so now it doesn't have the slow resistance debuff anymore. It doesn't do anything with your slow resistance anymore. The trade-off is that now the stamina bonus it gives has gone from 60% to 40%. So now this is a card I'm actually interested in, because one of the main things that would stop you from kiting in general, if you're kiting a very large horde, was running out of stamina. Because you wouldn't necessarily even have a chance to recharge your stamina because you'd constantly have to run away from the horde. So having more max stamina is pretty big. Like 40% bonus stamina sounds pretty fucking big. And that also applies to your ability to bash stuff and melee. Anyway, Run Like Hell is also another staple card similar to Mad Dash. Where Run Like Hell is plus 15% move speed, and if you get hit, your accuracy is reduced for 3 seconds. I've never noticed that myself. Maybe it's like not indicated well, but I never felt like it was a super horrible debuff. So this card was always felt really good, and most people consider it a staple. So the change they've made is that when you get hit, instead of losing accuracy, now you just won't get the speed buff for 3 seconds. So I'm also questioning the value of this card anymore. I think overall it's still good. You just have to make sure not to get hit to make sure it was the value of the card. Combat card updates. We received feedback that players did not feel that slow and steady combat was as viable as other strategies. Additionally, we wanted to balance the changes to speedrunning in general. We've refactored and buffed the following combat cards to make combat more viable. I really like what they're saying here. They're saying that because the way I want to play Back 4 Blood is I don't even want to have to use speed cards. I only have speed cards in my deck because it feels necessary. Because speed runs Back 4 Blood. Speed is king in Back 4 Blood right now. That's why it's the meta. So what I'd rather be doing, the way I wanted to play the game, is that I can rely completely on damage cards and my mechanical skill at gunning to just fucking shoot the shit out of whatever wants to hurt me instead of having to fucking kite it and run away from it. And what they're saying here is that they recognize slow and steady combat didn't feel as viable, so they're buffing things that will for slow and steady combat. You can see they buffed a lot of cards to this effect. So another reason for me to be excited about this patch. Cold Brew Coffee is a card that right now Cold Brew Coffee only affects. This is Cold Brew Coffee. It increases your stamina regen, but reduces your stamina efficiency. Which I think is kind of weird. I'm trying to think like how useful that would be. I figure it's overall. Barring that aside, the changes they're going to make to it are now your ADS speed will increase. So when your time to zoom in and look down the sights of your gun is faster, which is very attractive to me because I already use a card explicitly for that purpose. Because I feel you're going to have to be quick scoping a lot in this game. You're usually just running and then, oh, there's a zombie. Let me quickly aim down sight and shoot at it. Or if there's a zombie running at you. So ADS speed is actually like an important stat to me, considering how often I'm like aiming down my sights. A lot of players I've noticed do not aim down their sights. Like they hate doing it, which is understandable. But for me, I use it a lot. And would recommend people to get into the habit of using it because it does increase your accuracy and stuff. So yeah, boost that. Weapon swap speed, I don't really care about that. Use speed, that's very handy because a lot of stuff uses use speed. Everything pretty much that has the progress bar thing, like reviving your teammates, so that's good. And reload speed, which I don't really care about because I drop reload. But nevertheless nice and would boost like shotguns and sniper rifle, bolt action shotgun and sniper rifles fire rates. So more handy for people who run shotgun and sniper rifle, or at least when I run it. Anyway, just a bunch of different buffs. Feels nice. Much more interested in the Cold Brew Coffee card now. Combat training. People had complained that bullet penetration was not a useful stat. As it's such a niche thing that comes up to get that kind of collateral hit on a bunch of zombies that like it doesn't really make a huge difference. So for this card, they're removing the bullet penetration entirely, and they're replacing it with now a bullet or a stumble buff, which is very interesting and, in my opinion, huge. I do also want to mention that the devs acknowledged in one of the discords that damage cards were supposed to buff your stumble damage, but it wasn't. So after having read all these patch notes, they haven't mentioned that they fixed that, but I would like to presume that because they're starting to mess around with bullet stumble buffs, that they have fixed that. Like low-key stealth fix, they fixed damage now properly applying to stumble. So we should start to see a lot more stumbling going on, and stumbling making a difference, and that building around stumble, because as it is now, as the game is now, you cannot, there's no cards that buff stumbling. All you can do to buff stumble is like get lucky in finding a certain weapon magazine attachment. So now having cards that actually let you buff stumble, it'd be interesting. I would like to actually try a build that goes maximum stumble and then seeing how much that affects things. It helps my focus on mechanical skill, because I'm going to be fucking shooting the shit out of everything. And so if I can stumble that stuff, it would be like pretty much a buff to my whole team, because then that's like a debuff I apply on the enemy for everyone. So it increases damage and stumble. Energy drink. Let's see what. For you guys, and for this one, plus 60% stamina, minus 5% damage resistance. So this is actually the same as Rhythmic Breathing, which is right next to it, except instead of slow resistance, it lowers your damage resistance. The changes they're making to it is, it's a card I wouldn't use in Nightmare, because I really try to avoid taking anything that lowers your damage resistance in Nightmare, because you need. Oh, that's weird. Okay, it wasn't 60%. It was 40%. So I guess they changed it in a patch, and now they're going to nerf it even harder to 15%. It's not going to reduce your damage resistance, and it's going to buff your weapon swap, move speed while firing, and slow resistance. Let me think about this. I'm trying to think how attractive this card is now. I don't care about weapon swap. Move speed while firing, I don't really care about. Slow resistance is actually pretty nice. It remains to be seen, like, how much of this, I don't know how much slow resistance of like 10%, how much that really changes how much you're getting slowed. It doesn't sound like much, but testing will reveal otherwise. Because another card called Pep in Your, Evasive Action, where it's like if you get hit by a zombie, it gives you like a 30% movement speed boost. When you take a hit for 10 or more damage, gain plus 20% movement speed for 3 seconds. Which sounds big, but after having tried it, like, I guess it's uncommon to be taking 10 or more damage. I would mostly care about being hit by Common Ridden, which only never do like 10 damage. So then this movement speed buff, it's ironic because that picture is showing fucking 3 Common Ridden, but they're not going to deal that much damage to you unless they'll like hit you at once really fast or something. No, they would all have to hit you at once for that to happen. So it's just it doesn't come up very often. And you'd want that kind of movement speed buff mostly for being hit by a Common Ridden or Wretch Acid Vomit. So it seemed pretty unattractive. But my point with that was Evasive Action would seem like I tried running it with the hopes that it would come up often enough in those situations where I'm being slowed down by like being hit by Common Ridden, but I never felt like it helped. So having a card that explicitly actually helps with the throw resistance might actually be huge. Because fuck, being slowed by Common Ridden is one of the worst feelings. And like, I think it's actually one of the, how do I put this? If you want to become good at kiting zombies, that slowing hit that a Common Ridden does is like, as soon as you get hit by that, like, your odds of surviving go way down, because as soon as you get slowed, then another Common Ridden hits you, and it's just a domino effect of being hit by Common Ridden and then slowed. So if this card could like really feel like it's mitigating that slow, your kiting becomes way better. But I'm hoping that with this update, kiting won't become necessary for me anymore. So anyway, moving on. Hi, my man. Tooltip update to include all secondary weapons. Ammo chance increased to 3% from 2. Now has a chance to spawn Molotovs. I don't know anybody that runs Highwayman. Everybody feels like 3% is even 2 to 3% chance. It's so bad. That's so bad. I mean, it's gotta have some use, right? Right? Let me think about this. Because you'd be comparing this to just like a card that boosts your ammo capacity in the first place, so it's not left up to chance, like Ammo Scavenger or Ammo Mule, or that card that increases team ammo capacity. And those just always seem better to me than this 3% chance to spawn ammo. But I don't know. Yeah. Large caliber rounds. They removed the penalty. Wait. $7.520. So they doubled the bullet penetration, and they removed the penalty. That doesn't make a difference to me in terms of my consideration. If I wanted the extra bullet damage, I would have gone with it anyway. I think. Wait, it was stamina efficiency. Yeah. Line them up. Now range fall off plus 10%, recoil control plus 15, bullet penetration plus 25%, and ADS speed plus 25%. No longer requires AR. So line them up was a card that I've heard one person claim was the most useless card in the game, because it was a card that all it did was boost your bullet penetration, specifically with rifles. Where again, bullet penetration considered one of the most useless stats because it was so niche and barely made a difference when you could be using much cards that have a greater impact. Here, line them up. Plus 100% bullet penetration with assault rifles. As someone who specializes in rifles, I never cared about this card. I forgot this shit existed. It's so negligible. But now, with these buffs, actually kind of attractive. Range fall, like, I don't know how much I care about that. Recoil control. Honestly, recoil control is like only going to matter with... I would care about it the most with ranch rifles. Ranch rifles have some kick to them, where if I'm trying to like fire as fast as possible into like a tall boy, I'm like fucking fighting with the crosshair to keep it on target. That'd be nice for that. It's a bit niche because ranch rifles, like, I'm not always running a ranch rifle, although I'm often running Mom at the beginning because nobody else will play her, and she starts with a ranch rifle, so it might actually affect me more often than I think. Bullet penetration, I don't really care. ADS speed, that's nice. So these three things, new range, recoil control, ADS speed, actually kind of nice. Actually kind of attractive. I don't know if I'll ever actually try the card, because it does seem like the other cards are more attractive. But I'll try to like force myself to use all these changed cards, like line them up, large caliber rounds, not Highwayman, cold brew coffee. Yeah, I'll force myself to try them and see how I feel about them before I write them off completely. Because otherwise, I just always go bullet damage. What I run right now is like what I would like to run before is all bullet damage plus that steady aim card, which increases ADS speed, so I can quick scope a lot better. But otherwise, just all damage. And a money grubbers. I forget where I was going with that. I think I'm starting to feel the edible. How long has it been since I had it? It's been an hour. I'm definitely feeling it now. Fuck, I'm gonna eat. There's so many patch notes to get through, you guys. We're not even halfway through this shit. I gotta speed this up. Line them up. Looks like an attractive card now. Marathon Runner no longer disables sprint. Intent of this is to enable kiting. I think Marathon Runner... I actually should look this up. I think Marathon Runner makes it so your backwards and strafe movement speed, is now... Okay, increases your movement speed by 5% and no movement penalty for strafe and back pedal. I didn't know it disabled sprint, but I think I always wrote it off because of that. Do I care about it now? Not really. What was it again? Movement speed? I might like it for the movement speed if kiting still matters, but otherwise, no. It's more for people who want it to feel like Left 4 Dead, I guess, where there's no... Mugger ammo chance increased to 3%, was 2%, now there's a chance to drop razor wire. I think this is when you get melee kills, a proc chance to drop ammo. Does this matter? Who cares? I don't care. I can imagine a kind of theoretical build where, as a melee player, you run Mugger with a chance to drop razor wire, so you can farm razor wire and just have a ridiculous amount in certain levels. So that idea sounds fun. Patient Hunter, which is really good damage card. Patient Hunter, they reduced the time per stack to 0.75, was 1. So now it just stacks faster. That's fucking awesome. Because of how much quick scoping LCA we pretty much have to do in this game. Power Swap, I don't care about. The fix and exploit with it, I think. They made it less, like, I only ever considered Power Swap because of the fact you could maybe stack it and get some crazy damage if you set up for it. But now that they removed that, Although it'd be cool. Wait, Power Swap admin reload, right? Is a combo. I've seen a really good Korean Back for Blood player. One of his fun builds, or he called the deck fun, and it would be admin reload, ammo stash, running Tech 9, and SMG, just some SMG and Tech 9's secondary. And so he'd just have infinite SMG ammo and then switch between the two kinds of SMGs, so he could just always be firing and never having to reload. So in that kind of build, Power Swap might be nice. I've heard people probably do also with like shotguns. I don't know. I don't really care about Power Swap. Moving on. Silver Bullets. So this is one of the best damage cards. I think they... It looks like it does the same amount of bullet damage, but they added a range fall off buff, and it doesn't have the penalty anymore, where the penalty was that it would cost copper per kill. Which I guess the idea is like, oh, you're shooting these bullets that are made of silver, and that costs extra money. That's a nice buff. I mean, it's a nice bonus that they removed the penalty. That never stopped me or I think anyone else from using it. I think what they replaced was that it has bullet pen, and they replaced that with damage range fall off, which is fucking awesome. It just made a good card already better. In my
Ivy
opinion.
underscore Hefe. Gonna
Yeah, it
try
had
a
bullet
new food
penetration.
today.
Oh yeah, what food? Steady aim added a stacking buff while ADS that gives recoil reduction. Wait, I didn't notice this change. This is fucking awesome. Holy shit. Steady aim is the card I use that lets me ADS faster, so I can just basically quick scope. So I love that card. I like to take it before my damage cards because it just feels so fucking nice when you can quick scope. And now they buffed it even stronger so that with recoil reduction. Power creep? I think if it is a power creep, I mean, there's definitely power creep in how they've nerfed a lot of difficulties. They made the game a lot easier. But power creep wise, I think it's a necessary power creep. I don't think it's actually going to keep creeping like this. I mean, hopefully, actually, kind of just to make gunning on gunning as good as running. Tunnel vision, add a stat that increases weak spot damage. The longer tunnel vision is a card that the card I never used because of its drawback. Where the fuck? Okay, it is. Tunnel vision. Plus 50% aim speed, minus 5% damage resistance. So, pretty much strictly worse than steady aim. Tunnel vision, the damage drawback is still there, I guess. I feel like they really should remove that. But they otherwise added increased weak spot damage 5, 10, 15 over 2. That's a really good buff. Would I get it? Maybe, actually. That's actually not a bad damage card anymore. But the damage resistance is ew. Alright, team ammo. Now also gives plus 1% increased damage. What, to the team? Vendor. Oh, okay. This is so then the team upgrade that you can buy from the vendor for 1,500 copper. The team ammo card now also gives increased damage. That's a nice little buff. Well fed, removed 20% stamina efficiency. What? Well fed. The bots would always have this card. Minus 20% stamina regeneration, plus 10%, plus 10 team health. I would never get this card because that drawback is awful. But they've removed that. So now the card is good. It's not great. I would never take it unless I was running my no, I've just never taken. But it's fucking nice. Fucking nice. Healing card updates. In addition to the combat card buffs, we've made the following changes and buffs to healing cards. The big change that they've made is that the card Experienced EMT, which many considered a staple because the way it worked is you basically increase your team's max health by 20%, and this would also mitigate trauma, so you'd effectively mitigate 20% of your max health in trauma per level. They've removed that aspect of Experienced EMT, so now it doesn't mitigate trauma. You'll still get like the plus 20% max health, I think, but it won't mitigate the trauma. So now it's not like a staple healing card anymore. It's a nice card, but so to compensate for this, a card that's Fresh Bandage, which I think is like heals you. Fresh Bandage. Heal 10 trauma damage at the start of each level. Now heals 15 health at the start of each level. Trauma recovery increased to... So now it heals 15 trauma. It buffed the healing trauma damage per level by plus 5. And it heals you 15. So it just made it a better card. Group Therapy heal increased to 8. I think Group Therapy was... anytime you heal a teammate, it healed everybody for a certain amount. So this would... right now it's 5. Actually, double check here. Group Therapy. I like this tool. Now I don't have to fucking constantly say, I think this card does this. Group Therapy. When you use a medical accessory, all teammates heal for plus 5 health. So this would effectively give you plus 20 health. Wait, anytime you use a medical accessory? So it'd be plus 20 health across the whole team times however many medical accessories you use. 2, now reduces team in-cap trauma by 15%. Remove copper last. So they kind of nerfed it. Because there's already a card that gives you an extra life called extra life or second chance. And that would also give you like more health. So now you're just choosing between, if you want one extra life, it's like, should I get life insurance or should I get second chance? Do I want extra health or do I want reduced team in-cap trauma by 15%? That's a tougher choice in my opinion. I don't know. I'd probably go with the health. These are the menus, a card that gives everybody an extra life, but you would have minus 20% damage resistance, which is fucking huge. I would never take it myself. If I ever noticed somebody else taking it for the team, I'd be very thankful because they're really making themselves squishy by choosing this. So now they made it less, it makes you less squishy to take it, which is awesome. So it'll encourage more people to take it or deter fewer people. Pep Talk now gives 3 flat damage resistance from all sources while reviving and grants 10 health to the revived target. Wait, what is Pep Talk again? I think it's like when you revive someone, you heal them. Oh, revive, you revive people faster, but you take more damage. Oh, this makes it so that now you get damage resistance while you're reviving and grants plus 10 health to the revived target. So it buffs the card. That's pretty fun cool. It's like just buffs your revives basically. Makes you the master of revives. Moms would probably be moms. This is for moms and docs for any, because those are like the main support characters. Safe room recovery now heals 15 health and trauma recovery up to 7. So they increased the healing and trauma healing from safe room recovery. Would I take it? Wait. Actually, I should always be answering the question of whether or not I would take this card. For neither of the many, I wouldn't take it still. Because it's like, this is an altruistic card. Your teammate, I would only take it if I could kind of brag about it, like, and say, because anytime I would rather be playing Jim as my main character, but I always wait to see if anybody else is playing Mom, and usually nobody else is, so I'm like, fine, and then I say, I push to talk, and I say, I'll play Mom for us, as a subtle way of saying, yo, I'm doing this for you guys. Like, if I said some shit like, oh, I'm going to pick all team cards, or I'm going to drop you guys all my money, here's my ammo, yo, this is me doing something for the team, kind of thing. And I feel like, at least, even though it's a kind of bragging in a way, like, I do think it probably builds team bonding, especially when I'm playing with randos, to show that, like, by the way, I'm a team player, so that it causes less friction later on. People won't second guess, like, how much I'm committed to the team effort. So when it comes to needs of the many, which gives everybody an extra life at the cost of your health, I would only take it if I were willing to be like, yo, by the way, I'm going to take needs of many for us guys. You're welcome. Like, I don't want to have to say that kind of shit. I wish it was just like somehow really, like, if each player slot was color coded. So it's like, oh, player 1's red, player 2's blue. And then that little plus sign on the health bar that shows you have an extra life, if that were color coded to the character that's giving you that extra life, because I'm trying to think of like a way that it could indicate who's giving you that extra life so that you can always know who to thank for that. But the fact, I think maybe you can tell, but only at the beginning when they pick the card, it'll be like, oh, needs of the many, this player's giving you this card. Actually, I guess you could also check your active cards, but I don't know how many people check that. I know some people do. I do want to talk about Adrenaline Fueled. This is one of the most exciting changes to me. Because I was walking my dog and I was literally thinking about whether or not I want this new Adrenaline Fueled in my deck. for kiting anyway, because then it makes it much more viable to like. Adrenaline Field card refactored. No longer gives bonus stamina. No longer reduced stamina regen. No longer gives instant stamina. Field stamina regen now stacks 5 times and gives 7 stamina over 7 seconds. It no longer gives bonus stamina. I think this changes to nerf speed, so people are less likely to just go running across the map. This stamina regen, the reduced stamina regen, was the main reason I hate Adrenaline Fuel. I don't hate it, but I mean hate in the sense that I just never use it. I tried it. It sounds like a fun card, but the reduced stamina regen is killer. Your stamina will regen so slowly that it's just, I don't feel it's ever worth taking the Adrenaline Fueled card. It really kills your stamina regen. So they removed that completely, which makes this a much more exciting card. Uncooked? Okay. No longer gives instant stamina. So this is, again, I guess, for speedrunning. I'm actually not sure. This doesn't really matter to me. The biggest thing is that it no longer reduces stamina regen. So now, if I want to kite, which it does seem like, I really hope kiting is not a necessary thing anymore, but I'm thinking, I run 4 speed cards right now. With this change, I could take out 2 of them and just have this card. And then I can just like run, jump, turn 180, quick scope, kill something. And then that would give me some stamina back. And then run and just rinse and repeat. And I can infinitely kite stuff and never run out of stamina because I'm running Adrenaline Fueled. Which was the dream in the first place. But it just really couldn't keep up. So hopefully now it can keep up. I hope so. When it says like 7 stamina over 7 seconds, I have no clue what 7 stamina means. If it's like one of those bars, that's actually a big deal. Because you start with just like 4 bars. So like, this could refill your entire stamina over 7 seconds. And if you're getting more than 1 kill, like if I can understand this correctly, when it stacks 5 times, like let's say you get 2 kills, then I'm going to guess it gives you 14 stamina over 7 seconds. Instead of like 14 stamina over 14 seconds. That actually makes a huge difference. So I really hope it's the first kind of thing. Like it just doubles how much stamina you gain over the same amount of time. I'm excited for the new change to Adrenaline Fueled. Dude. I mean, I know I'm biased as a content creator. I'm like supposed to be a hype person. But dude, this December patch is fucking huge. Look at this. We've got, or the intent, at least from the developers, and my hope is that it makes gunning as good as running. And that running is now nerfed. Speed has been nerfed. Damage cards have been buffed. The whole game is easier. They've made every difficulty easier. So the whole game is easier. It's be much more viable for casual play. They're fixing grenade duplication. And a lot of cards have received a lot of buffs, and a lot of cards are more viable now as a result.
Did they change the elite spawns? Like so you don't get 20 tall boys in a row?
Yes. Let me show you that one. Spawning updates. During endless hordes and back-to-back hordes, all horde... Oh, they call them special ridden in this. That's weird. All hordes special ridden are limited to 2 of a given type and a maximum of 4. So you're never going to see more than 2 tall boys at the same time. Ever again, presumably. And it's going to be a maximum of something like 2 tall boys, 2 stingers, or 2 tall boys, a stinger, and a wretch, something like that. So it's always going to be a variety. or not always, but much more likely.
Thank God, lol.
Added a horde special ridden cooldown. This helps avoid the doubling of special ridden when multiple hordes are triggered. I wonder what the specifics of this are. Well, I guess it's going to be a maximum of 4 within, I don't know, like a minute or something like that. So let's say you trigger like 10 hordes, you're still only going to get 4. Assuming you just triggered all 10 hordes all at the same time. Timed hordes made to have a longer minimum resume time of 60 seconds was 30 with the exception of custom events. So, like Onslaught Corruption card where you get a horde every 3 minutes? It's like 2 or 3 minutes. Basically, you're going to have 30 seconds on top of that now, I think. You can phrase it this way. So more time between timed hordes, which I think is great. I feel like 2 minutes was way too small on Nightmare. If you triggered a horde while having a timed horde, it's possible to have the timed horde trigger too soon after the initial horde. Roaming special ridden max count now 4, was 6. Developer note, limits the potential special ridden counts in certain situations. What? Basically less mutations overall. Reduced chance for all Tallboy variants on Veteran and Nightmare difficulties. So it seems they want Tallboys to become more rare. People were saying they appeared too commonly. Now they're more rare. Let me think about that for a moment. If I played this game with this change already in place, like this was how it was from the start, would I feel like Tallboys are special? And then I complain that they feel less special now that they're more common after the patch. Maybe? I could feel that way about tanks in Left 4 Dead, where tanks were special because they were rare. So once you hit a tank, it was like a fucking big deal. Does the same feeling apply to Tallboys? I figured the tank world was filled by like breakers and ogres, but I don't know. Like, if they combined this with a Tallboy buff, then I feel like it would do a better job, perhaps, of making Tallboys feel like, you know, oh shit, it's a Tallboy kind of thing. As opposed to, oh shit, another Tallboy. Right? Increased roaming special ridden minimum spawn distance to 30 meters was 20 meters. So, a common complaint about the game was that mutations spawned too close. They increased their range by 10 meters. That's good. Increased Wanderer special ridden minimum spawn distance to 10 meters was 5 meters. I actually don't know what the fuck this is. Because it says roaming special ridden, and this is Wander special. What the fuck is Wander? I think I understand now. Roaming are the ones that kind of spawn ahead of you and then they roam around. And I think Wander are the ones that, like, the timed spawns. You know what I mean?
Drunken Alien 66. Roaming and wandering are the same thing, aren't they, lol?
But if they were the same, I was thinking they could be the same thing if the wording of these were different. But they're both referring to the same thing. So they must be different things. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, Ammo Mule no longer disables support items, but lowers move speed by 5%. I feel like this change makes so much sense. If you're like carrying more ammo, you're gonna move slower in real life. And I felt like a dick when I used Ammo Mule because I'd be like, oh, I can't use these bandages. Could somebody pop them on me? Bounty Hunter, I guess, it says they just updated, well, let me read this out. Updated text to mention contributing team kills. Bounty Hunter team effects, when you kill a mutation, gain plus 10 copper, up to 300 per level. I didn't know there was a team effect, and I'm not sure if team means anybody can gain copper. I'm pretty sure it only applies to the person who has the card, but I guess it means like if anybody kills a mutation, you get copper. And I believe this change is just going to make the text more accurately reflect that that's how it works. Experienced EMT I talked about this earlier. This card is considered a staple healing card because what it does is it basically boosts your health by, or anybody's health by 20%. Like you can apply to other people. It boosts your maximum health by 20%, and then it mitigates trauma by that much, and that's why people. So it mitigates like 20% of your health and trauma per level, and that's why people consider it a staple. But with this patch, it's not going to do that anymore. It's not going to mitigate trauma. So they're also changing it so the bonus health is reduced to 10%, but instead now it also increases stamina and stamina regen, which seems pretty good. It doesn't specify how much it increases those things, so if it increases it enough, it might be worth just taking this like as a stamina card and just like making sure to heal yourself once per level to apply the effect. So it'd be like the cost of a bandage per level. Does that apply to pain pills? I don't think it applies to pain pills. When you use a medical accessory. Oh. Okay, so it would seem to apply to pain pills. I could try Googling it, but whatever. I didn't know why they changed that health bonus, though. Anyway. Energy bar. Stamina regen increased to 30%, was 20. I think energy bar, as it is, it's plus 20% stamina regen, plus 5 health. I think it's a strictly inferior, worse version of cross trainers. Stamina regen health. Yeah, because cross trainers does both of those things plus 2 other things. So I think they buffed energy bar so that it's not just a strictly inferior version of cross trainers. So that 20% stamina regen is now 30%. So that's cool. I don't know. I don't know if I would ever take it. But I'd have to compare it directly to the other cards. I'm hoping the Adrenaline Field will make it so I don't have to take this. Hyper focused.
IP_Hefe. Unagi helps sexual stamina.
I presume that's just like. How do I put this? People believe that. I haven't heard any study that supports that. Hyper focused. Adjust the penalty to minus 40% move speed while shooting or melee attacking. Was negative 75% ADS move speed. People didn't care about this penalty. Hyper focus is the best card to boost weak spot damage. With this change, it'll make it so it'll affect you even if you're not.
Aphrodisiac though.
If you say so. This penalty. So it's gonna apply now to like more different kinds of weapons, not just the kinds you ADS. And since a lot of people don't ADS anyway, and that will apply to those people too. The penalty is smaller, but it'll apply more often. And I don't know if this will mesh well with like the way I want to use Adrenaline Field, where I'm like, I'll like hop away 180 shot, kill, and then rinse repeat. Because this will slow me down. But we'll see. Wooden armor no longer increases explosion damage taken. Wooden armor is also indirectly buffed because Wooden armor, they're charred ridden and blighted ridden. Charred ridden are the zombies that are on fire, and blighted ridden are the acid zombies that leave an acid pool when they die and they kind of explode and also damage you. Like the volatile ridden, but that was a bug, and with this new patch, they're no longer gonna do that. So you're less likely to get hit by acid damage from those. Like those charred ridden and blighted ridden are the main reasons you wouldn't take this, because you would take extra damage from them. I don't know if they changed charred ridden though. Looks like they didn't. Yeah, they didn't. I still don't know if I would take this. I wouldn't take any card that minimizes trauma damage, because the wisdom goes that any card that's like helps you when things are getting screwed is not as good as cards that help you avoid those situations in the first place. So I'm not big on Wooden Army for that reason. But maybe, I don't know, if you suck at the game and you can't avoid taking damage, then I don't know. Corruption card updates. Bosses will no longer appear at the start of an act. Thank goodness. Hag will no longer spawn with the Fog corruption card. This was surprising to me. I didn't expect this, but it's a nice change. The Fog is already difficult to deal with, and then having a Hag on top of that made it a really bad, like really hard card to deal with. So now it's not so bad. Fog's maximum density reduced for Gloom and the Fog, so Fog and Gloom suck less. They're easier to deal with. Breakers removed from all difficulties of search and rescue bookworms. That's the level with the library. So I guess if you get a boss card on that one, it's always going to be an ogre now that you fight outside. So that's cool. That's easier to deal with. And perhaps you won't have that situation where you can just shoot the breaker through the window like you did on the previous stream, which is really dumb. What is this song? Tenacious D. Balance updates. Aim assist has been buffed. I didn't know about this. Aim assist now locks into the center of sleeper base instead of the body. Sleepers are the wall vaginas. They're things on the wall you get it that are like proximity mines. But it's not clear to me what this means. Like center of sleeper base. I don't know what sleeper base is. It seems like I'm not even gonna comment because I don't care about aim assist. Bird's health reduced to 1 was 10. I didn't know that's how much health each bird had. I was curious, but now we know. Flash grenade damage reduced to 1 was 5. I don't see this really mattering to, like, the enemies you damage. Especially now that Bird's health is now 1. I feel like it's gonna cause less damage to you and your teammates when you throw a flash grenade at your feet or at your teammates. So that's good. And I guess it will more reliably kill the birds, because on my previous stream there was a really annoying situation where I flashed some birds, but then enough of them didn't die and they flew away so that I triggered a horde, and then someone was flaming me for that. No, I only went to like a third of it. There's so many notes. So I'll try to get through as many as I can until my voice is too tired. So I think this will make, with this reduction to bird health, it'll make flashbangs more reliably kill birds. So I think that's really good. M16's damage increased to 16. They buffed M16's damage by 2, and they burst M9's damage by 2. I think they really want to make burst weapon, like, people hate burst weapons. I hate them, mostly because I feel like they're a waste of ammo. And I guess they're the least popular weapons still, so I guess they're buffing them to make them less undesirable. Razor Wire has been changed to a quick slot item. Razor Wire right now is an offensive accessory, so the same slot as grenade and flashbang and firecracker and pipe bomb. I think this change makes sense. It also means that if you're buying like offensive item upgrade to upgrade the Razor Wire, now you gotta buy the quick slot item upgrade if you want to buff Razor Wire, where quick slot item upgrade is considered like one of the least desirable team upgrades, but now it has more of an incentive to upgrade it so that it'll buff Razor Wire. And now you can like carry Razor Wire while also carrying like grenades, and I'm wondering if like I'll be more willing to carry Razor Wire with me to put it in like a nice choke point, I suppose. The 870 shotgun, to reduce the fire rate. I don't remember it. This is 870 Express, so the fire rate is like this. Which I feel like is a good amount. It's pretty satisfying. So they're gonna make this weapon fire slower. That's the change they're gonna make to it. Combat knife, increased combat attack width. This is a pretty big deal. Because the combat knife most people hate the combat knife once you realize that your non-combat knife bash, your default bash, can hit multiple zombies. Your default bash can hit multiple zombies, whereas the combat knife can only hit one zombie at once. So, like, your default bash is pretty much always better than a knife, for the people who know.
There was a Nicki Minaj song called The.
Okay. I wonder what the lyrics are like. So now, with this change, the combat knife will suck less. But thinking about it, it'll still probably be worse than bash, because when you bash zombies, it can cause a domino effect where they stumble into each other like bowling pins, knocking all each other down. So, but the combat knife will just straight up kill them, so you won't have that kind of domino effect of stumbling with the combat knife. So I think it's still worse. Plus, you still need to burn a card to use it. Nightmare in the shooting range in Fort Hope now multiply base friendly fire damage values by 2 times. I guess this is partially to compensate for how they changed friendly fire so that weapons with a higher rarity tier will not do extra damage to teammates. They'll always do like base rarity damage to teammates when the patch hit drops. So I guess to compensate for the less friendly fire damage you'll do in Nightmare, they make it so you'll do ×2 in Nightmare. Hopefully this multiplayer doesn't mean that it ever is higher than it was pre-patch. And I guess to have it higher in the shooting range is just so PvP, like if you ever want to duel your friends in there, it's, I don't know. You kill each other faster, really. I can only imagine that would be the case, because the weapons all in the shooting range are already only a white tier. Also, I think the camera tracking keeps losing me because, well, 2 things. Because Back 4 Blood is open and it uses a lot of GPU, and competes with VC Face, which is the VTubing program I use. And also because I'm in a pretty dark room right now. So like, the camera's just having difficulty seeing, like, yeah, whatever. Bounce updates, difficulty specific, developer note. One of our goals this patch is to decrease the disparity between the various difficulties so there isn't as much of a jump from recruit to veteran to nightmare. So they made all of the difficulties easier. I won't go over all of them. But yeah, a lot of things are easier now. Spawning updates. We already went over this earlier. Ridden AI updates. Blighted Ridden no longer deal instant explosion damage when they die. I already mentioned this earlier. That was apparently never intended behavior. Special Ridden's defense against bullet penetration to weak spots has been reduced. This one I don't really know what it is. I think maybe it's like armored mutations. They'll have some armor covering their weak spot. And the way the game is now, almost all damage modifiers like damage boosting cards and attachments and such do not affect armor. Armor ignores all that, which is kind of dumb. So I think maybe they make it so that bullet penetration will allow you to penetrate the armor covering weak spots, which only makes sense. Like I've heard someone say like, bullet penetration should specifically penetrate armor, because it sounds like it should, and the fact that it doesn't is stupid. And I'd have to agree with that. Sleepers will more accurately connect with their targets. This one I'm not looking forward to, but I think it's fair and makes sense. There's been so many moments where you run past a sleeper and you don't even realize, and then it just misses you, and you're like, holy shit, I just barely avoided death and I didn't even realize it. So now you're gonna have less moments like that. You're gonna get screwed more consistently. Tallboy and Bruiser hitbox is more accurate and their weak spots are easier to hit. Developers note, we cleaned up the Tallboy's hitboxes to make them easier to hit. It should now be possible to hit their weak spot from the front if you have a precise weapon. I'm not sure how this will work, because I think the way tall boys work, they have a weak spot on their shoulder, and when they walk towards you, they have that shoulder behind them. They like lead with their non-weak shoulder, and it was pretty much impossible to hit their weak spot from the front. But now they're saying you can, so it's hard to imagine what that's gonna look like. Hopefully, the weak spot color will be visible from the front, kind of deal. I mean, maybe they change the animation so they're less hiding their shoulder. They're probably hiding their shoulder because they're dragging their huge arm behind them. And I thought the Bruiser, one of the variants, I thought the Bruiser didn't have a weak spot, so it's confusing to me when they say the hitbox is more accurate and the weak spot's easier to hit. But I would like search a Google image for this, but I think last time I tried to find like, oh, Bruiser weak spots, I didn't find anything. So nobody has another good resource for that, like cards. Developer note, the following changes make their attacks a bit more forgiving to dodge. Their AoE attack is smaller, from 250 units to 200. Less ability to turn during a charge. I never thought that they could turn much during a charge, so I don't know. Decrease crusher squeeze attach distance. A similar thing, like less reach on their grab. Wretch's effective range. Wretches are the fat explodey guys that vomit acid at you. Now, they won't. They'll track you slower. It's good. Their vomit will be easier to dodge. But one kind of buff they got is that their vomit attack now will last 2.25 seconds, whereas currently lasts 1.6. I'm trying to think like why they would make it like that. I'm not sure. It's a little annoying because usually if you're already behind cover waiting out the vomit to end, then it's just kind of boring and annoying. But, I don't know, I guess they're buffing it to adjust the nerfs that it's getting. Explosion radius now visible to the ridden player. I guess this is a swarm PvP thing. Developers note, with the following changes, the Hawker's ability should not be used as much, should be easier to dodge, and you should not take as much damage if an attack landed. People complain. I have a good clip of... Let me show you guys. Nothing weird. This one, Hawkers are OP.
Hey! Help
Just gonna
here!
give up here.
So I died. These are the last two guys left alive. There's a stinger over here. Or sorry, a hawker. Hawkers, they spit at you and they pin you with their spit. They're kind of like Left 4 Dead Smoker, except instead of shooting out their tongue, they just do a ranged pin like Spider-Man. Hey, Hyperclamio, how are you?
Hawker's moving.
So I said Hawker's moving, which means like you want to prioritize Hawkers because they'll fuck your shit up from a distance. You gotta deal with them early.
Hawker's behind the billboard.
It's this billboard back here. I didn't know what else to call it. So he just got hawked by the...
the Hawker.
How the fuck did it get you from way over there?
Behind the billboard.
We're a team, right?
So check out where this hawker is. They can't even see this hawker pretty much. I mean, they can see the silhouette, maybe? But you can see it's really far away. Like, Jim, even if he wanted to shoot it right now, he can't because it's like right here. So in this little gap right here between cover, somehow like the hawker fired instantly and then pinned him. There's like almost no chance for Jim to deal with this. And this is the kind of OP bullshit that OP BS that hawkers are capable of. Like, what is the counterplay to this? There's like not much you could have done to deal with that. I mean, you can, but basically, the developers and many people considered it too strong. So, the changes they're making include the projectile speed is reduced. I thought maybe the projectile was already hit scan and like hit instantly, but apparently not. But now they make it so it's like more dodgeable now at least. If the hawker misses, the way it is now, if the hawker misses, he can instantly shoot again. But now, if or with the patch, if they miss, then they can't shoot for 8 seconds. And even if they hit, they have to wait 8 seconds. Whereas right now, they only have to wait 2 seconds. So it's a huge, huge nerf they're giving to hawkers. Initial damage reduced and damage over time has been increased. So for the most part, they're getting nerfs and they're getting +1 damage over time. Hag health reduced to 7,500. I like this change. They're getting minus 7,500 health. I feel like hags were already too much of a bullet sponge. And their weak spot multiplier was increased by 0.25. So it'll be easier to kill hags now, and there'll be less bullet sponges. Stinger, projectile cooldown. Stingers are like hawkers, except they don't pin you with their spit. They just hurt you. Developer note, when the stinger was perched, there was no cooldown on her projectile, so she was able to rapidly attack cleaners. Usually, a stinger, what they do is they cling to a wall, they jump up to a wall and they cling on it, and that allows them to rapid fire their spit. Or they sting, I don't know. So now it can't rapid fire as much when it's perched. Sworn PvP stuff, I'm just gonna skip over that. I don't really care about Sworn PvP. I've never played it. I don't really care. Controller updates, I don't care. They're controller updates. So then the last thing they cover, actually, no, that's not the last thing. Cleaners being pursued by a hag will now see a corresponding screen effect to indicate this. So usually if a hag were chasing you, if you startle a hag, you'll get some text at the bottom that says, "Oh, you startled a hag," and then that message goes away. That would be the only indicator that a hag was chasing you. Other than, like, actually seeing where it is running towards you. But if it were around a corner or something, you wouldn't know if it was coming after you. So now they make it more obvious, apparently, somehow, to know if you're being chased by the hag. So that's nice. Can now easily duplicate decks in Deck Manager. This is a really nice quality of life change. Because I've always wanted this in Deck Manager. If I just want to take the same deck and tweak it and have a separate one. Like, for weapon, just like different weapon specialization, but it's still a damage deck. Camera smoothing duration, I don't know what that is. Field of view option slider separated for cleaners and written in the graphics options menu. I guess this is more of a swarm PvP thing, so I don't care. Ultra wide help. Added an option to toggle blood, vomit, and mud drench in the options menu. This is really nice. A kind of feature in Back 4 Blood is that if you kill a bunch of zombies near you, you can get coated in blood. And if you kill enough, you'll be completely covered in blood. And it's one of the top reasons for friendly fire to happen. Because you'll see somebody completely covered in red and you go, "Oh, I'm sorry, I thought you were a zombie." So now someone complained about it once on Twitter, and then the dev team replied, it's like, basically they said some shit like, "Get good." So it's like an intentional feature in the game. But I guess they've received enough feedback complaining about it that now they gave you an option to toggle it off. So that's nice, because I thought they would never change it after that kind of response. I'll probably always have it toggled off, because fuck that, like, accidentally shooting your teammates. Like, and I feel like it's going to become a point of contention that it's like, if you accidentally shoot your teammates, and then if you ever say like, "Oh, sorry, I thought you were a zombie because you were covered in blood," and then people would be like, "Yo, you gotta turn that option off in the menu, you big noob." You know what I'm saying? This thing I don't care about. The mute all option is now toggle off automatically when you return to Fort Hope. I think this is a really good change, because sometimes you'll accidentally mute everybody. and not even realize it. And you just think that everybody just got really quiet. Because doesn't do a good job of showing you that you muted everybody. I'm not sure it shows you anyway that you muted when you mute people. Other than if you like context menu click. So having it automatically unmute people when you come back to Fort Hope, I think is a really good idea. Because when you're going back to Fort Hope with people, you're probably in a party anyway. Anyway, toggling VoIP, it's a nice little change, whatever. Xbox change, I don't care. Jukebox traction now controlled by the music slider instead of the sound effects slider. This was dumb in the first place that, like, if I wanted to turn off the jukebox music, I had to turn down the sound effects slider, which doesn't make sense. You would think it would be on the music slider, so now they're just making that appropriate. I don't care about this. This one, the other stuff it's whatever. I gotta remember to update my DLS, my NVIDIA driver to 471.11 to take advantage of the DLSS. What version am I on right now? Oh god. Okay, I'll do that later, I guess. Bug fixes in Fort Hope. Wait, this toggle active cards thing. Is there really some place you can toggle active cards? I've never seen such a thing they say in Fort Hope you can toggle active cards. I don't know. What is that? Fix an issue where using the toggle active cards key could disable the player's HUD for it. What the hell is the toggle active cards key? Is that in the options?
Trade patrols with me tomorrow?
No time.
That pisses me off.
Toggle active cards K. Whoa, what? Oh. Wait, what? But this is empty. Maybe these will show up with more stuff. Oh, oh, it did just bug my UI. Oh, that was weird. Okay, you can see in the bottom left and bottom right. Like, my bottom left, you can see my health bar, and the bottom right, you can see my weapons. If I press K, and then I close it, those things disappear. That sucks. But I fixed it by just pressing my tab menu. So now I have it back. What is this toggle active cards thing? I gotta try that in-game and see if it's helpful at all. But it's nice also to have just having no HUD. Because I don't really care about the HUD in here. Oh, I can't even grab this now. Oh, that is such a weird bug. Oh shit, my thing glitched. Hey, anything else? There was a bug with Buckshot Bruiser. Buckshot Bruiser is the shotgun card where you get temporary health with your shotgun shots, but when your temporary health decayed, it would also take 1 point of health.
Did I just see that they're changing the wretch throw up?
Yeah, they're nerfing it. It's getting... Yeah, they're nerfing it. I'm trying to remember if they gave it any kind of buff. Oh, they made it last longer, like... He's gonna be vomiting for 2.25 seconds instead of 1.6. But otherwise, it's getting nerfed. So it's easier to dodge. I like that change. Because the vomit as it is like BS. Like, you look at him vomit at you from like across the map and you're like, how is this even possible? It doesn't make sense. See, the way Buckshot Bruiser works where you get temp health from shotguns, when that temporary health decayed, you would actually lose 1 point of health. So they're just fixing it so it doesn't do that anymore.
X Bone Crusher 13X. Thank God that wretch was ridiculous how far it could shoot.
I mean, I don't know if they changed the max distance of it though. Where's the wretch? Right here. Right. Wretch. Lower velocity. Effective range decreased to 22 from 25. Okay, yeah, they did decrease its range. says fixed money grubber's card having a discrepancy with the card values. I don't know what that is. Maybe they made it more clear with the card text how it gives you more money, because people have been confused about how money grubbers works. That'd be a little nice change. Uh, there was a swing point video about how fire damage works, where you'll do more damage with fire if you hit indirectly instead of directly. So I think they're gonna fix it so it's not like that anymore. No, I did not. Although a friend wants to see it, I think. I feel like somebody suggested going to see it, but I forget what. Oh, I think I flaked and I was like, because of COVID and because of the gas limitations, because of the pipeline being shut down due to weather. That was my excuse to not go. This change I was pretty miffed about. Where there's the sprint cancel jump technique where you could keep your momentum from your sprint if you stop sprinting right before you jump. With it. Yeah. So I thought that was a really cool movement technique in the game, which they're gonna get rid of. But on the plus side, it does mean it'll mitigate speed running with that technique. So it's nice. Fixed an issue where the player's camera may snap up to 180 degrees when entering ADS. I've never experienced this myself, so I don't know. Fixed certain weapon upgrades increasing damage by 25% when it should have been 20%, and adjusted tier 1 weapon damage to compensate for this change. So apparently some weapons... Swing Point also did a video on this talking about how, like... in terms of rifles, SCARs and AK assault rifles had much greater damage increases than every other weapon with higher rarities. So apparently that was a bug. It's not supposed to be like that. So I guess now they're all going to be increase in damage equally across rarity, but they're also going to adjust the tier 1 damage to compensate. I don't know if... They're not clear if that means it's going to get a buff. I presume it's going to get buffed. So I suppose white SCARs and AKs are going to be even stronger. But the purple ones are not going to be clearly better. Because my thinking right now would be like, oh, if I came across a blue SCAR or AK, then I would take that over anything other rifle. But now it'll be more of a side grade equal or whatever. Fixed an issue where bots were able to free each other remotely. I have 2 clips of this. I thought it was a good thing because the bots will fuck up and they'll like refuse to move. They'll just stand there. So I was like, oh, I shouldn't fucked when I got downed away from the bot. But then I like magically got revived. So I presume it was because of this bug. I didn't necessarily think it was a bug. I thought it was like compensation for bots that suddenly froze in place and didn't know how to move anymore. So I don't think they mention anywhere that they fixed bots getting stuck like that. So that's kind of suck if your bots get stuck and they're just nowhere near you. Fix an issue where the secondary objective timer could stop counting down after accessing the vendor. I don't know about secondary objective timer, but there'd be sometimes like where you'd have an onslaught where it'd be timed hordes, and I think that the timer would be glitched for some people and not displayed correctly. So hopefully that fixes that. Fixed an issue with shotgun reload animations playing multiple times. I've never really experienced this myself. I've seen some videos of it, but I'm also thinking that maybe this will apply to Belgians, where people have had a bug with the Belgian where when they go to fire it, it'll not actually fire anything out, and then you'll just have to reload it, which was really annoying and crucially a bug. Like, you're switching to your secondary for a clutch moment where you don't have time to reload your main weapon, and so you rely on your Belgian for that high damage burst, and then it just doesn't fire anything and you're fucked. So hopefully that fixes that. Even though I never experienced it myself, but it's a pretty annoying bug. Fixed an issue where player loadouts were not being saved when they leave and rejoin after a map transition. I've never experienced this myself or really realized that this was a thing. I guess applies more to people who run in regular squads, where you can rejoin your friend. Because I've barely ever left and rejoined a game, because I'm not usually running with squads where I have them as a friend to rejoin. But I know this nice change. Apparently, if you leave and you come back, you won't lose all your stuff. It'll remember that you had your stuff. And maybe this will apply to, like, when you leave a game and then somebody else joins, like when I quick play and I join people and then I'm stuck with the bot's crappy gear or like the most base shitty gear because I joined in replacing a bot. So maybe with this change, if I play as the bot who was formerly being played by a player, maybe I will get the stuff that player had when they left. Hopefully that's what that means. Which to not give C4 instantly to players that were all gathered at the bridge. So this is the mission where you have to, there's the infinite horde as soon as you explode the propane tank, and you gotta run all the way across the boat to the bridge, grab the explosives, plant them at the bottom of the ferry boat, and then run back up. This just makes sure that it's fixed an issue where Coach was not giving players the C4 charges when players were more than halfway across the bridge. So hopefully this means, like, usually you have to run all the way to the far side, wait for the Humvees to pull up, and then they drop the C4 explosives for you to grab. And sometimes that would take, like, I don't know, like 20 seconds or more. So hopefully this means that it's just, like, ready there for you by the time you get there, maybe. I don't know if when it says halfway across the bridge, when I first read this yesterday, I thought maybe it meant, like, the bridge you're crossing before you get to the boat. But now that I think about it, maybe it's talking about the bridge on the other side of the boat. Hey, Glen Oils, how are you? Fixed an issue where the hag played the wrong animation when affected by a flash grenade. Hopefully this means that people have complained that when you go to use a flashbang on the hag, you can only flash her consistently if you, like, people have theorized you have to hit her in the weak spot, you have to hit her before she's even startled, you have to hit her when she is swallowing a teammate. Those were, like, the 3 recommendations people had to make the flashbang more consistent on the hag. So hopefully with this change, the hag will be flashbangable at all times, or just at least more often, instead of randomly ignoring the flashbang. Fixed ferocious stalkers not healing while dealing damage. This one, I feel like this might be a mistake, because I thought stalkers were only supposed to heal while dealing damage if they had the Blood Drinker corruption card. So maybe this is ferocious is supposed to be Blood Drinker. I don't know. I don't care about Storm PvP. Okay, this should be the last paragraph. Fixed an issue where players were unable to replay the tutorial from the main menu. Is there a tutorial to this game? When I read this, I'm like, wait, there's a tutorial? Oh, hey, wait, I was just gonna see if I can access the tutorial. Replay tutorial is available here. Ultra wide fixes. Fixed an issue with contrast levels on the contrast slider. I don't know about this, but hopefully that means you can increase the contrast or something so that you can see dark areas better. Because this game is just too dark sometimes.